The peaceful night sky over Pine Valley Forest shattered as a gleaming object cut through the atmosphere, trailing smoke and sparks. Inside the falling scout ship, Lena wrapped her body around her daughter Mira, using herself as a living shield. Their luminescent skin flickered with fear, casting shifting blue light through the failing ship's cabin. "Hold tight, little one," Lena whispered, her voice steady despite the terror flooding her system. The ship's controls blinked helplessly as they plummeted toward the planet's surface. Trees rushed up to meet them, their branches scraping against the hull with horrible screeching sounds. The impact came with a deafening crash. Metal twisted and screamed as the ship plowed through the forest floor, carving a deep trench in the earth. When the vessel finally stopped moving, silence fell over the forest like a heavy blanket, broken only by the soft pings of cooling metal and distant animal calls. Inside the wreckage, Mira opened her eyes. Her small form glowed a frightened yellow, illuminating the darkness around her. "Mother," she called out, her voice trembling. She felt her mother's arms still wrapped around her, but they were limp now. Lena lay unconscious, her usual bright purple glow dimmed to a weak lavender. A deep gash ran along her side where a piece of the ship's interior had broken free during the crash. Her breathing was shallow but steady. Mira, though only equivalent to an Earth 8-year-old, knew enough about emergency procedures to check the ship's systems. She climbed carefully over the debris, her three-fingered hands finding purchase on the twisted metal. The main console was dark, and no matter how many times she pressed the emergency beacon, it remained silent. Outside, Earth's moon cast silver light through the shattered view screen. Mira had never seen a moon so large and bright. On their home world, they had 3 moons, but all were smaller and further away. The air that leaked in through the damaged hull felt thick and humid, making her breathing passages tingle uncomfortably. "Mother, please wake up," Mira pleaded, returning to Lena's side. She found their emergency medical kit in the storage compartment and began cleaning her mother's wound just as she had been taught. Their skin's bioluminescence helped in the darkness, though Mira wished her glow wasn't such a fearful yellow. Hours passed slowly. Mira managed to stop her mother's bleeding, but Lena still hadn't woken up. The young alien girl did her best to make her mother comfortable, using what remained of their sleeping pods to create a makeshift bed. She also gathered their surviving supplies, some food packets, water purifiers, and a damaged universal translator that only worked intermittently. As the first light of dawn began to creep through Earth's atmosphere, Mira heard strange calls from the forest creatures around them. Each new sound made her skin flicker with nervous patterns of light. She knew they needed help, but everything she had ever learned about uncontacted worlds told her to stay hidden. Lena stirred slightly, her eyes fluttering open for a moment. "Mira, safe," she managed to whisper. "Yes, Mother, I'm not hurt," Mira answered quickly, her skin brightening with relief. "But you're injured, and the ship won't fly again." "The beacon?" Lena asked, her voice weak. "It's broken. Everything's broken." Mira's glow dimmed with despair. Lena reached up with a shaking hand to touch her daughter's face. "We survived. That's what matters." Her eyes closed again as unconsciousness reclaimed her. Mira held her mother's hand and looked out through the broken view screen at the alien world around them. The sun was rising now, painting the sky in colors she had never seen before. She didn't know if this planet's inhabitants would help them or hurt them, but she knew one thing for certain. She had to find a way to save her mother. As morning birds began their songs and the forest came alive around their crashed ship, Mira stood guard over her injured mother, her young heart full of fear and determination. Whatever this strange world had in store for them, they would face it together. Tom Miller walked his usual morning patrol route through Pine Valley Forest, his boots crunching on fallen leaves. 20 years as a forest ranger had taught him to notice when something wasn't right. Today, the forest felt different. The birds weren't singing their normal songs, and the deer tracks he'd been following suddenly changed direction, as if the animals had fled from something. He adjusted his backpack and followed the strange silence. The morning mist still hung low between the trees when he spotted it. A long, ugly scar torn through the forest floor. Small pieces of strange metal glinted in the early sunlight. What in the world? He muttered, following the destruction to its source. His heart nearly stopped when he saw the crashed ship. It wasn't like any aircraft he ever seen, its design too smooth and alien to be human-made. Tom reached for his radio but stopped when he saw a soft blue glow moving inside the wreckage. Years of training told him to call this in immediately, but something made him hesitate. The glow shifted to a fearful yellow as he moved closer. Through the broken view screen, he saw them. His mind struggled to process what he was seeing. Two beings with semi-transparent skin that gave off light. The smaller one was trying to help the larger one, who lay injured on what looked like some kind of bedding. The childlike alien's movements were so familiar, the gentle way it touched the injured one's forehead, checking for fever just like Tom had done countless times for his own daughter when she was sick. Some things, it seemed, were universal. "Hello," he called out softly, staying where he was to avoid frightening them further. "I want to help." The smaller alien's glow pulsed rapidly with fear. It grabbed something from nearby. Their medical supplies, Tom guessed, and held it protectively to its chest. The injured one tried to sit up but fell back with a pained sound that needed no translation. Tom slowly removed his backpack and took out his first aid kit. He held it up where they could see it, then pointed to the injured alien. "I can help," he repeated, miming bandaging his own arm. The smaller alien looked between Tom and the injured one, its glow shifting between yellow and a softer blue. The injured alien, the mother, Tom was almost certain, said something in a musical language. After a moment's hesitation, the child alien moved closer to the ship's opening. Tom remained still as the small alien studied him. Its three-fingered hands gripped the edge of the broken hull, and its large eyes blinked with multiple eyelids. Despite its alien appearance, the fear and hope in those eyes were heartbreakingly human. They found the translator device together, the child alien pulling it from the wreckage while Tom waited patiently. It sparked and crackled, working only in short bursts. "Mother, hurt," the device translated in a broken electronic voice. "Help, please." "I will," Tom promised, his voice gentle. "I'm Tom. I'm a friend." The translator crackled again as the child alien spoke. "I, Mira. Mother. Lena. Running. War. No hurt us, please." Tom thought of his own daughter Amy, safe at home. He thought about what it would be like to crash on an alien world with her, injured and afraid. His decision was already made. "I won't hurt you," he said clearly, hoping they could understand even without the translator. "And I won't tell anyone else about you either. Let me help your mother." Mira's glow shifted to a deeper blue as she finally stepped aside, letting Tom approach Lena. As he carefully began treating the injured alien mother's wound with his first aid supplies, he realized he'd just become part of something much bigger than himself. Outside, the forest began to wake up properly, unaware that on this ordinary morning, humanity had just had its first true contact with alien life. And it had started not with military might or government protocols, but with a simple act of compassion from one parent to another. 3 days after finding the crashed ship, Tom hiked through the pre-dawn forest with a heavier backpack than usual. Inside were medical supplies, food, and bottles of water. He'd been making these trips twice daily, worried someone else might discover the aliens if he didn't check on them regularly. As he approached the crash site, he saw Mira's gentle blue glow through the trees. The young alien had taken to watching for his arrival, and her color always brightened when she spotted him. Today, she met him halfway, her small feet moving silently across the forest floor. "Mother better today," she said through the partially repaired translator. Tom had managed to fix it somewhat using spare parts from his garage, though it still crackled and sometimes missed words. Painless. Inside the ship, Lena sat propped up against salvaged cushions. Her wound was healing slowly, but her natural glow had strengthened from the sickly dim purple to a healthier, brighter shade. She nodded in greeting as Tom entered. "Brought you something new today," Tom said, pulling out several protein bars and some fruit. "My daughter Amy helped me pick these out. She's about Mira's age. Well, I think she is." He smiled, still unsure about alien aging. The translator sparked as Lena spoke. "Your child knows of us." Her glow flickered with concern. "She figured it out on her own," Tom explained, arranging the supplies. "Found the medical supplies missing from our home kit. She's smart, like Mira. And she can keep a secret." Mira picked up an apple, turning it curiously in her hands. Her skin cast shifting patterns of light across its red surface. After watching Tom demonstrate how to eat it, she took a small bite. Her glow immediately shifted to a bright, happy pink. "Sweet," she exclaimed, the translator barely needed for such a simple joy. As Mira enjoyed her first earth fruit, Lena touched the translator, adjusting something inside it. "We must tell you truth," she said, her voice clearer through the device now. "Our people, at war. Those who want peace, hunted. We escaped, but they follow." Tom sat down on a fallen log inside the ship. "You're refugees," he said simply, "running from people who want to hurt you." Lena nodded. "Our kind, divided. Some want war, conquest. Others, like us, want peace." She touched her healing side. "They damaged our ship. We barely escaped." Mira stopped eating her apple, her glow dimming to a sad blue. "Our home, gone now," she added quietly. Tom thought about this as he checked Lena's bandages. The wound was healing well, but she'd need proper medical care soon. Earth medicine could only do so much for an alien biology. "The minerals in your medicine help," Lena said, noting his concern. "But we need specific elements. Our healing, blocked by Earth's magnetic field." "I might know someone who can help," Tom said slowly. "A doctor. She's retired now, but she's good at keeping secrets. Helped plenty of people who needed to stay off the radar." Just then, they heard footsteps approaching through the forest. Mira's glow instantly shifted to alarmed yellow, but Tom raised his hand calmingly. He recognized those footsteps. Amy appeared through the trees, carrying her own small backpack. She stopped at the ship's entrance, her eyes wide with wonder as she saw Mira and Lena for the first time. At 12 years old, she'd been begging to meet them since discovering her father's secret. "Hi," she said softly, waving at Mira. "I brought you something." She pulled out a small tablet computer. "It's my old one. It has games on it. I thought, maybe you'd like to learn how to play." Mira looked at her mother, who nodded encouragingly. The young alien moved closer to Amy, her glow shifting to curious blue-green. As the two girls sat down together, Amy showing Mira how to use the tablet, Tom and Lena exchanged knowing looks. Sometimes the simplest things, a shared apple, a children's game, could build bridges across the stars. As morning light filtered through the trees, two families from different worlds found themselves growing closer, united by trust and the universal language of kindness. The peaceful morning was shattered by the sound of helicopters flying over Pine Valley Forest. Tom, who had been changing Lena's bandages inside the crashed ship, looked up with concern. Through the broken view screen, he could see two military helicopters crossing the sky. "They're looking for us, aren't they?" Mira asked, her skin pulsing with worried yellow light. She clutched the tablet Amy had given her, where she'd been learning Earth words through games. "The energy signature, from our ship," Lena explained, her voice stronger now through the improved translator. "Earth's satellites must have detected it." Tom pulled out his phone and opened a message from Amy. "3 military trucks just passed by the school," he read aloud. "They're heading toward the forest entrance." Lena tried to stand, but her wound was still too fresh. Her purple glow dimmed with pain. "We must leave. Not safe here." You can barely walk, Tom said firmly. We need a plan. He looked around the ship, thinking quickly. The morning dew had barely dried on the leaves outside, but they couldn't wait for nightfall. Not now. Just then, his radio crackled to life. Attention all Forest Service personnel. This is a military operation. All Rangers report to the main station immediately. This is mandatory. Mira's glow flickered rapidly between yellow and frightened white. What will we do? Tom switched off his radio. I have an old hunting cabin, he said, about 3 miles from here. It's off any official maps, and the trees are thick enough to hide any glow from your skin. But moving you both won't be easy. He pulled out his phone again and called someone. Dr. Reed. It's Tom Miller. Remember when you said you owed me a favor after that fire last summer? I need to collect, and you'll need to keep an open mind. While they waited, Tom and Mira gathered the most important supplies. The sound of helicopters came and went, each pass making them freeze in place. Through the translator, Lena taught Tom which parts of the ship needed to be hidden, pieces that gave off energy signatures the military could track. An hour later, they heard a soft whistle. Amy's signal. She appeared through the trees with an elderly woman carrying a medical bag. Dr. Reed stopped short at the sight of Lena and Mira, but only for a moment. Well, she said, adjusting her glasses, this certainly explains the secrecy. She moved forward professionally, already examining Lena's wound. Fascinating biology. Bioluminescent skin, multiple cardiac chambers, I'm guessing. 3. Lena confirmed through the translator. We need to move them, Tom explained. Can you help? Dr. Reed nodded, pulling supplies from her bag. I brought something for the pain, but I'll need to understand how their chemistry works. We don't want any bad reactions. While the doctor worked, Tom and Amy covered the most visible parts of the ship with branches and leaves. The military helicopters had stopped passing overhead, which worried Tom more than when they were visible. It meant they were focusing on a ground search. Through careful gestures and the translator, Lena explained what medicines would be safe for her. Dr. Reed mixed something in a syringe, and soon Lena's pain seemed to ease. Her glow strengthened to a more stable purple. The cabin's ready, Amy reported, returning from another scouting trip. I put fresh water and the emergency supplies there like you asked, Dad. Suddenly, they heard voices in the distance. People moving through the forest. Military search teams. Time to move, Tom whispered. Amy, lead the way. Doc, help me with Lena. Mira, stay close to your mother. They moved as quietly as possible through the forest, using the dense trees for cover. Mira helped by controlling her glow, dimming it to almost nothing. Lena tried to do the same, though the pain made it harder for her to maintain control. The voices behind them grew closer. Dr. Reed had to stop once to give Lena another injection for the pain. Amy kept looking back nervously as she led them along hidden animal trails she discovered over years of exploring. Above them, clouds began to gather, promising rain. Tom smiled grimly. Bad weather would help hide their escape. As they moved deeper into the forest, the race between hope and discovery had begun. The old hunting cabin creaked in the wind as rain pattered against its wooden walls. Inside, Dr. Reed studied the readings on her medical tablet, while Lena rested on the small bed. The alien mother's purple glow cast gentle shadows around the room. Remarkable, Dr. Reed muttered, adjusting her glasses. Your cellular structure actually responds to Earth's magnetic field. That's why you're healing slower than normal. The translator crackled as Lena responded. On our world, magnetic field different. Helps healing, not blocks it. In the corner of the cabin, Amy and Mira sat cross-legged on the floor, sharing Amy's tablet. Over the past few days, they had created their own simple sign language, mixing human gestures with Mira's bioluminescent colors. When Mira was excited, she glowed bright pink, and when she learned something new, her skin rippled with patterns of blue-green light. Look, Mira said through the translator, showing Amy a complex mathematical equation she'd solved. Your numbers, different, but same rules. Amy stared at the solution, amazed. You did that in your head. That would take me forever with a calculator. Tom watched from his post by the window, smiling at their interaction. He kept one eye on the forest, watching for any sign of the military search teams. The rain had helped cover their tracks, but he knew they were still looking. A sound from outside made everyone freeze. Mira's glow instantly dimmed to nearly nothing. A trick she'd been practicing. They heard footsteps on the wet ground, then a knock at the door. Tom grabbed his ranger's badge and opened the door carefully. An elderly man from the nearby town stood there, holding an umbrella. Mr. Wilson, Tom said, surprised to see the local hardware store owner. Evening, Tom, Mr. Wilson said quietly. Saw the military boys asking questions in town. Thought you might need these. He held up a bag of electronic parts. My son left these from his engineering projects. Might help fix that translator device you were asking about earlier. Tom stared at the old man, who gave him a knowing look. Folks in town have been seeing strange lights in the forest, Mr. Wilson continued. Some of us, well, we remember when this country wasn't so kind to people who needed help. Sometimes doing right means keeping quiet. Inside the cabin, Mira's curious glow caught Mr. Wilson's eye. Instead of showing fear, the old man smiled and waved. Hello there, little one, he said softly. Dr. Reed took the bag of parts. These are perfect. We can stabilize the translator's power supply with these. As Mr. Wilson left, Tom realized their secret wasn't such a secret anymore. But instead of fear, he felt hope. The town's older residents had seen enough of life to understand when to help and when to look the other way. Later that evening, while Lena slept, Dr. Reed made an exciting discovery. Look at this, she said, showing Tom her tablet. Their genetic structure has amazing adaptive capabilities. Mira's readings show she's already adjusting to Earth's atmosphere and gravity. She's learning our language faster than the translator can keep up. As if to prove the point, Mira spoke without using the translator. Earth, beautiful, she said carefully in English, her glow brightening with pride. Amy clapped quietly. That's perfect. Can you teach me some words in your language? The two girls spent the next hour exchanging words and giggles. Mira's natural glow created patterns that matched her emotions, and Amy tried to copy them with hand movements, creating their own special way of talking. Tom sat down beside Dr. Reed, speaking softly. What are their chances? Really? The doctor looked at her readings again. Lena's healing, though slowly. But Mira, she paused, watching the young alien. She's adapting faster than I thought possible. It's like she was meant to be here. Outside, the rain began to ease. Through a gap in the clouds, Earth's moon shone down, its light mixing with the gentle alien glow from within the cabin. Two worlds were meeting in this simple place, brought together by circumstance, but united by something stronger, the universal desire to help, to heal, and to understand. A week had passed in the hunting cabin. Under Dr. Reed's care, and with help from the electronic parts Mr. Wilson provided, Lena had grown stronger. Her purple glow now shone bright and steady. In the corner of the cabin, she worked with the ship's damaged communication device, her three-fingered hands moving carefully over its circuits. It's working, she announced suddenly, her voice clear through the improved translator. The device hummed to life, sending a soft signal into space. Our rescue fleet will hear this. Mira, who had been teaching Amy about the star patterns of her home world, looked up with mixed emotions. Her glow shifted between happy pink and sad blue. How long until they come? 2 days, Lena answered, checking the device's readings. They're closer than I thought. They must have been searching for us. Tom shared a worried look with Dr. Reed. Just that morning, they'd heard military vehicles on the main forest road again. The searches hadn't stopped. They'd only gotten more organized. Amy moved closer to Mira, their shoulders touching. Over the past week, The two girls had become inseparable. Mira could now speak basic English without the translator, and Amy had learned to understand the meanings of Mira's different colors and light patterns. "You have to stay," Amy said quietly. "You're my best friend now." Mira's glow dimmed to a soft, sad purple. "I wish." She started in English, then switched to the translator for clearer words. "I wish we could stay too. Earth feels like it could be home." Outside, a twig snapped. Everyone froze. Tom moved silently to the window and peered out through a gap in the curtains. A military patrol was moving through the trees, less than 100 yards away. They carried strange equipment. Energy detectors, Tom guessed. "They're getting closer," he whispered. "The rescue signal. They might detect it." Lena tried to stand, her movements still stiff with pain. "We must leave. Find new hiding place." "No," Tom said firmly. "You're not strong enough to move through the forest quickly. We need another plan." He looked at Dr. Reed. "How many people in town know?" The doctor thought for a moment. "More than you'd think. Mrs. Baker at the diner. The Rodriguez family at the gas station. Even Sheriff Jones suspects something, but he's been directing the military searches away from this area." Just then, Tom's phone buzzed. It was a text from Mr. Wilson. "Military setting up checkpoints on all forest roads by tomorrow morning. Town meeting happening now at my store. We want to help." Tom showed the message to the others. "We have a choice to make," he said. "We can try to hide somewhere else, or we trust my neighbors," Dr. Reed finished. "People here know what it's like to help those in need. During the floods last year, during the big fire, this town comes together when it matters." Mira moved to her mother's side, their glows synchronizing to a determined blue. "What about Amy? What about you?" she asked Tom. "If they find out you helped us." "Sometimes doing the right thing means taking risks," Tom said, remembering Mr. Wilson's words from days ago. Amy stood up straight. "Dad, remember when you taught me about the Underground Railroad? How people helped others even when it was dangerous?" Tom nodded, proud of his daughter's understanding. Dr. Reed was already on her phone, sending careful messages to trusted townspeople. Outside, the military patrol's flashlight beams swept through the trees, getting closer to the cabin. Lena touched the communication device again, her glow brightening. "Our rescue ship," they responded. "They can be here sooner. Tomorrow night." She looked at Tom with large, expressive eyes. "But we need clear space for them to land." "Open area. The old Miller farm," Amy suggested. "It's perfect. The fields are hidden by hills on all sides." The flashlight beams were getting closer. They had to decide quickly. Trust in the goodness of humanity, or try to run and hide. Lena and Mira's fate, and perhaps the future of human-alien relations, hung in the balance. Tom took a deep breath and picked up his phone. "Mr. Wilson, we need help, and we need everyone we can trust." As he spoke quietly into the phone, the others watched the approaching lights through the cabin windows. The next 24 hours would test not just their trust in humanity, but humanity's readiness to protect those different from themselves. Night fell over Pine Valley as a gentle fog rolled across the old Miller farm. What looked like ordinary farm trucks lined the surrounding roads, but each one had a purpose. Mr. Wilson's delivery truck blocked one access road. The Rodriguez family's tow truck broke down on another. Sheriff Jones had his deputies directing traffic away from the area, citing a chemical spill. Inside the main barn, Tom checked his watch. 1 hour until their ship arrives. Lena and Mira stood in the shadows, their glows dimmed to almost nothing. Around them, nearly 30 townspeople worked quietly. Some kept watch, others maintained the signal device, and a few prepared to create a diversion if needed. Mrs. Baker from the diner handed out coffee and sandwiches to everyone. "Military folks ate at my place earlier," she whispered. "They're planning a big search pattern tonight, but they're starting from the wrong end of the forest." Suddenly, Amy burst into the barn. "Dad, they're coming." 3 military trucks just turned onto Mill Road. The townspeople moved with practiced calm. Years of handling natural disasters had taught them how to work together in a crisis. Mr. Wilson's grandson, a tech-savvy teenager, activated several drones equipped with lights. "Ready with the weather balloon story," he said with a grin, preparing to send the drones to draw attention away from the farm. Dr. Reed checked Lena's readings one last time. "Your strength is almost back to normal. The magnetic interference is lessening. Maybe your rescue ship's approach is affecting Earth's field." Through the barn's open door, they could see flashlights in the distance. Military teams were spreading out through the nearby fields. The fog helped hide them, but it wouldn't be enough for long. Mira hugged Amy tightly, both girls trying not to cry. "I'll never forget you," Mira said in clear English, her glow pulsing with sad rainbow colors they'd never seen before. "Take this," Amy said, pressing her tablet into Mira's hands. "I put pictures on it. Of all of us. Of Earth." Lena placed her hand on Tom's shoulder. "Your people, so much kindness. We will tell others. Earth should not be feared, but welcomed." A low hum filled the air. Through the fog, a soft light grew stronger. The townspeople gasped as a ship, much larger than Lena and Mira's scout vessel, descended silently through the clouds. Just then, shouts erupted from the road. Military vehicles had broken through one of the blockades. Now, Sheriff Jones commanded through his radio. All around the farm, people sprang into action. The drones took off, creating patterns of lights in the sky. Car alarms started going off in sequence, drawing attention away from the barn. A group of teenagers on dirt bikes roared through the backfields, their noisy engines echoing through the fog. The rescue ship touched down, as light as a feather in the field behind the barn. Its surface seemed to bend light around it, making it hard to look at directly. "Time to go," Tom said softly. The townspeople formed a line, shielding Lena and Mira's glowing forms from the approaching flashlight beams. As mother and daughter walked quickly to their rescue ship, each person they passed smiled or touched their shoulders in farewell. Just before entering their ship, Mira turned back. Her glow brightened to its strongest yet, creating a beautiful pattern of swirling colors. Through the translator, she spoke one last time. "This light pattern means family in our language. You are all family now." The military teams were close enough now to see flashlights sweeping the barnyard. But by the time they arrived, they found only a group of townspeople having what looked like a late-night barn party. Sheriff Jones calmly explained about the weather balloon prank that had gotten out of hand and how he'd already dealt with the troublemakers. High above Pine Valley, as their ship disappeared into the stars, Lena and Mira watched Earth grow smaller. On the tablet Amy had given them, they scrolled through pictures of their time on this strange, wonderful world. Pictures of Amy and Mira playing games. Dr. Reed teaching Mira about human medicine. The townspeople who had become their protectors. Weeks later, Amy found something in her backpack. It was a crystal that glowed with the same patterns as Mira's family light show. Attached was a note written in carefully practiced English. "Look up at night. When your moon is full, we can see your light from here. Family forever." In Pine Valley, the story of the glowing aliens became a treasured secret, passed down through generations. And on clear nights, people sometimes saw strange, beautiful lights in the sky. Lights that glowed with all the colors of family, friendship, and hope.